soon. That's why he's no God. And Lindsay Campbell at Miss Mooneypenny, best in the league for sure. Now, there's a bit of a wee kind of... It seems to be, is it fair to say, guys, that if you're talking about clan lines, the only other one that's probably in contention and worth talking about is the one everybody talked about is the KGB line?
I'd agree with that, yep.
Yeah. I mean, I can't particularly remember any other line that Raymond, that would make me think it was worth even talking about them in the same breath.
I agree with that. It's between those two for me.
Yeah, and
somebody did mention Meyer, Salters, and Keith, but that wasn't really a line, because if we remember, Salters was getting moved between the lines to try and get each line energised. So
yeah.
It may have been a line for like a few games at a time, but it wasn't a line in the context that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think Pitt got involved in it in certain games as well. It was kind of shuffled every so often to suit circumstance. So,
yeah, I mean, what I'll give you, if you look at the KGB line on the year they played, which was 11-12.
Season 2, wasn't it?
That was the year Galbraith got 104 points.
Yeah.
Mike Bayrak came in, played 50 games and got 71 points. Kristanovic played 52 games that year and he also got 71 points. So if you add that line up, you're starting there with 146 points between the three of them. Yeah. That's something else, really, isn't it? I mean,
so not 240 odd.
Sorry, 246. That's scary, isn't it?
And that's exactly why I would rate them first, because they were just so potent. Absolutely, lots of speed to burn, lots of skill. Could pull rabbits out the hat any time. They were just a magical line, and they were just such a pleasure to watch. It was just unfortunate. It was just for the one season in the end, but yeah, great to watch. Many fond memories of some great goals scored by that line for me.
But could you not also argue, though, Raymond, that that was the years where you were beating Edinburgh in five? I mean, we beat 5-10-1 in one game that year. I mean, that's not really going to happen now, is it? Well, you wouldn't think. There's Hull. I mean, there was a good few games where we played Hull and scored 7-8 goals, and I don't know. I'm just putting out there. Is there an argument there that the league has got better and therefore it's more difficult to score? I don't think we'll ever see a 104-point season by another player for the Clan. I mean, Galbraith was unbelievable that year, but there was a slight gap, and slightly bigger gap in the teams, I think, than there is now. Is there a valid argument for that?
To a degree, I think you can make that argument, but on the flip side as well, there was less imports and not as many good Brits as well for us, so they had to shoulder that extra responsibility in ice time, and they just took it right on their stride, and they produced. Whereas we've seen in recent years when, for some players, not all of them, but when they've been given that extra responsibility and the extra ice time, they've not quite produced what was hoped of them. So I think, at the same time, you've also got to produce the goods when you're on the ice, and that was Hammond. There was at 4 points against Edinburgh the other night, and I'm sure the likes of Jade and that got their 3 4-point nights against Edinburgh. So you still need to do the business to who you're playing against. So you can make the argument, but you can't outdo those wonderful memories.
No, but the thing for me as well, Graeme, is you've got, and the guys scored goals for fun. But I remember when it came, and that's what I think Stephen's referring to, it came to the quarter-final playoffs against Nottingham, and he had a sore pinky and he couldn't play. That was the story we got anyway, and, that kind of makes you think a wee bit about Mike Bayrak as well. Absolute goal machine when he played, but he didn't have a temperament that endeared them to fans, did he?
No, and to be honest with you, I think it was a bit of a kind of complex character, because I can remember talking to a couple of players after the end of the season, and nobody was having a bad word about him, but I just sensed the fact that he wasn't quite part of the group in the same way that most of the other players were. I mean, this was before all the troubles of season 3, obviously, but I think he was quite an aloof character. I remember having a chat with him at a fan event, and he's probably the one player ever so far since the Clan started that I found pretty tough going, trying to even have a bit of a chat with. So, I mean, that's fair enough. That's just the way the guy was. But, I mean, great hockey player, and I think that KGB line, for me, the massive difference between that line and what we're seeing just now is that they clicked a lot earlier in the season, and they kept it going all season. And as I say, I've got some tremendous memories. Jay Galbraith, for me, is still the finest player ever in a Clan jersey that I saw. Absolute joy to watch.
In that season, I'll give you that.
Well, in that,
not in the following season.
The guy was just different class. And I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I always do talk about it. I remember going down to Coventry against a Blaze team that were pretty handy. And I watched Jade Galbraith. The rest of the team were good, but Jade Galbraith took Coventry apart practically by himself that night. That was the one with the belly goal. Fantastic. And that was just one of many, many great performances. But that line together, three very different types of players, but they all complemented each other, and it just worked. And it was just fantastic. And that was on top of a very good team overall. And bear in mind, only our second season as well. New coach and everything else that goes with that. So it was happy days. We thought we were probably going to be league winners within a year or two, but never mind. KGB line for me, great. But in terms of what we're seeing now this season, fantastic, because it is the first line that we can even have this debate about, and it's great to have this debate now. The fact that we're even in a position to do this. And I'm delighted for the newer fans who get the chance to enjoy this line. In a season that hasn't been great, it's great to have this kind of major positive talking point. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this line in years to come with very, very fond memories.
Yep, you can't. I'll not take it away from Mike Bayrack. If you talk about points per game, Brendan Cook leads the Clan all time with 1.46 points per game in that very first season. Mike Bayrack and Ash Goldie are second to him in 1.42. And then you've got Galbraith 1.36 with McGrain, and then just underneath that we've got Matt Beca coming in at 1.35. These are names that are all up there, and names that'll probably we're not getting into the Ash Goldie thing, but you can't argue, like Mike Bayrack, you can't argue with the points they put up, Raymond, can you?
Absolutely not. It's there on paper. Stats don't lie, as the old cliche goes. I'm still, I just don't like Mike Bayrack. Didn't like him. Liked him when he scored. But I think the same thing happened when he went to Coventry, didn't he, the year after? That's where everybody seems to go when they leave the Clan until they go to Coventry.
Yeah, sent to Coventry,
Or Fife.
Because that's where, Jorgensen that season, I think, scored 52 points, and he's still playing away down at Coventry the year out. Is that the most potent line that you two guys are saying? I take it the KGB line was better?
Yep.
Yeah, KGB line.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know if it's just my memory. I loved watching Jade Galbraith play, I have to say, and Jordan was just a machine as well. And I think the fact that Pitt, Beca and Hammond have only been put together over the last sort of 6 weeks or so, maybe if they, I don't think you'll ever see another 100-point player in the Clan. So I don't know. I like what Pitt, Beca and Hammond do. I love watching them. Some of the goals over the last 4 games even have been absolutely a joy to watch. But then it's maybe just clouding my memory of the lovely flicks and the stuff Jade Galbraith done. So it's a really tricky one. Put it this way, our record in penalty shots would be much better if we still had a Jade Galbraith about. The thing was, he'd done the same move every time, didn't he? And he'd scored just about every time as well. That's true. Even though the goalie knew it was coming, they couldn't stop him. Goalies had no answer for it. Yeah, I'm sitting on the fence for this one, because you two have decided anyway, so I'm going to sit on the fence for that. The next question we asked you last night was, would you stay with Rusty for the Fife game? Connor, yeah, absolutely, he deserves it. Blair Daly, he has to. Jill McGee, yep. Kirsty, oh hell yes. Kirsty Crichton, that was. Marianne McLeod, yes, after tonight I forgot how good he could be. King Copper, absolutely. The big Civ, I think Rusty should be number 1 next season if he's up for it, so yeah, I'd like to see him get a few more games. Rachel Lister, yes, he's proven he's worth giving a try, so why not let people see what he can really do. Ian M, yes, I think our defence work harder when he's there, but our defence is still S-H-I-T, shit. We're allowed to say shit, aren't we? Yeah, it's a podcast. D. Longwell, absolutely some fantastic saves tonight. Ash, yes, I've forgotten how good he is. Looks sure and steady tonight with some excellent saves. UNM, definitely I'd love to see him as our main netminder next season. Thomas Gourley, can't drop him after playing well. Dan, I think so. The D seem to work hard in front of him. They seem to get sloppy with Z behind them. Eric Drummond, yes, after tonight's performance. Neil Routledge, definitely. His rebound control is much better than Z's. Carlan Jardine, got to play your on-form goalie, and at the moment that's rusty, so yes. Also feel the D seem to protect him more. Karen at Stargirl, no. We have Fife's number this season so far with 3 in the nets. Why change something that isn't broken? Blair C, I like him, but no. Son of Bonzo, I like Rusty and glad he's getting ice time, but I'd go back to Z. Chick Sampson just said no. Optimus Kine, tough question. Rusty bossed it tonight, but I'd be happy seeing Z between the pipes on Friday. Relocated Moose, hell no. And Ross Jardine, Zajkowski is not the issue. Put Lundqvist in with no D and he'll let in a couple. I don't think, Ross, we were thinking Z was the problem. We were just asking the question. Would you put Rusty in on Friday night? And I'm going to ask you two guys now, Graeme, would you stay with Rusty or would you put Z back in on Friday?
Oh, it's a tough one. We had this kind of debate last season, didn't we, when with Holt and Fullerton and Rusty, and it was all getting a bit complicated, and I don't know. I think, personally, I would keep Rusty in. I think, only on the basis of a few people I mentioned, I think you have to go with the hot glove. You've got to stick with the goalie that's in form. Zeke has been out of form for a few games recently. I think it was a courageous decision by Finner, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought Zeke was injured, but that seems to be not the case. I think it was a courageous decision by Finner, but that's why he's a coach and he's made that decision. And certainly against Coventry, I think that was justified, and Rusty has done enough to deserve it. So, yeah, let Rusty start. The truth of the matter is that, and again, this is not going to particularly go down well. I like Zeke. I think he's a good goalie. He is not the classic goalie that we thought we needed this season. I hate to say that, but it's true. And what I mean by that is I don't think there's much of a gap in standard between Zeke and Rusty, to be honest with you. Certainly not as much as perhaps there should be between a number one and a backup. So for that reason as well, I would say fine, keep Rusty in, and we'll see how it goes.
Raymond?
Well, it's the kind of decisions that the coaches earn their money on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, and I couldn't believe this when I read the game sheet, we had 43 shots against us the other night against the Blaze. I couldn't believe that. So even all the better credit to Rusty for saving as much as he did. And I think when you put a goalie in, you keep him in until he gives you a reason to take him out. So as far as I'm concerned, he's A-OK for me to start on Friday night and see how it goes. And well, if the worst comes to the really worst, well, you can always swap him out again.
Yeah, I mean, statistically on the season, there's not much to separate them, and I think you've got to give Rusty a wee bit of leeway because he's coming in a lot of times cold. He's coming in short, maybe just played 20 minutes or whatever. But I mean, Rusty has played just over 1,000 minutes, and he's got a 3.28 goals against average and a .889 save percentage. You've got Zajkowski, who's played nearly just 100 minutes short of 2,500 minutes, so 2.5 times as much roughly. And he's got a 3.1 goals against average and a .897 save percentage, and that's when you're thinking he's getting the sort of the ability to play game after game and stay in game shape, whereas Rusty's having to come in. Now, that being said, if you look at Z's record against Fife this year, and he's played all but one game that Rusty filled in, he's got a 2.28 goals against average and a 918 save percentage against Fife. Whereas Owen, the Fife goalie, just throwing this in there because it's a nice stat for the Clan fans, has got a 4.54 goals against average and an 873 save percentage against the Clan. I don't know, we just seem to have Owen's number. But when you look at Z's numbers against Fife, that's the only thing that makes me think I would put Z in on Friday night, because he seems to have Fife's number. No?
It's something to look at, but for me it's not. It's a consideration, but it wouldn't be enough for me.
Do you know the one thing I would maybe suggest? although it doesn't really figure us out for shaping up for